What's going on, knuckleheads? This is the Fighter's Rep. Thank you for joining us. It's October 23rd, 2019. And the big news in boxing today is Tyson Fury attacked and injured by Braun Strowman during his WWE training at the WWE Performance Center. Absolutely ridiculous. This is the heavyweight division's worst nightmare come true. Just when Tyson Fury's promoter, Frank Warren, was letting him know to be careful, you get this horrible, horrible man and Braun Strowman who comes out while Tyson Fury is training, runs up on him, shoulder bumps him into the ground, and looks to have injured Tyson Fury's ankle. The monster among men, which is Strowman's nickname or moniker, then went on to say to walk away from the scene and say, "You're in my world now, Tyson. I'll see you at the Crown Jewel." What he meant by "I'll see you at the Crown Jewel" was that's where they're going to be competing on October 31st at the Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia. It's one of these WWE events that's going to be happening in Saudi Arabia. I believe they do them about one time a year. But basically, Strowman utilizing the typical heel tactics like they always do in wrestling, these baddies, knocked Tyson Fury down and seems to have ruined his ankle. The trainers on the scene were asking for medical help, but to that, the always tough Gypsy King said, "I don't need no medical. I'll be all right. I'll see you in Saudi, you big bum." Dosser. He called him a dosser, just like he did to Deontay Wilder. And in all seriousness, this was a hilarious scene that took place, and something that could potentially really impact the heavyweight division, as we've been talking about recently. Is Tyson Fury's head in boxing anymore? Is he jumping ship to the WWE temporarily, or is this something he's going to look at more permanently? It's definitely something that a prize fighter would consider, seriously considering the fact that he's supposed to be making about $15 million for his tenure at the WWE, however brief or long it may be. But what could this mean for his potential rematch with Deontay Wilder to determine who the man is at heavyweight? The hopes for me, knuckleheads, is that Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury get it on sooner rather than later, and then Andy Ruiz and Joshua are going to be getting it on at the end of the year. The winner of those fights fight each other. Hopefully the losers of those fights also fight each other to take on the winner in the future, kind of like a playoff. That's what we're hoping for here, knuckleheads. But it looks like a lot of fun that Tyson Fury's having in his newfound WWE career. And we're hoping that it's not permanent. But if he decides for it to be permanent, more power to him. He got into the sport to make money. He's a prize fighter. Maybe that's his goal at this point in his career. Again, I would love to see him fight Deontay Wilder. I hope that this career change isn't permanent. I don't think it is, but we'll have to wait and see. And it's also something that he can use in the meantime while his eye is healing. Some people are thinking his mind is no longer in the sport. His heart is no longer with the sport of boxing, but we'll just have to wait and see. Also, it looks like there's some other news in boxing with Oscar De La Hoya being basically accused of sexual assault. It looks like Floyd Mayweather has shared this potential sexual assault claim on his social media. As we all know, Mayweather and De La Hoya go at it all the time. So it looks like Mayweather shared it. And what he shared basically says that De La Hoya has been sued for sexual assault and battery, which De La Hoya denies vehemently. Of course, we're not the kind of channel to ever convict someone ahead of their time in court. So we'll keep shut on that. We'll just let you guys know that that's what he's being sued for. There are, people that will lie about this kind of thing to try to get money, to try to get what we would call hush money from people that have a lot of money like Oscar De La Hoya, or that may have a lot of money like Oscar De La Hoya. So is it true? Is it not? That's something that we'll just have to wait and see. Also, Andy Ruiz Jr. still officially remains the underdog against Anthony Joshua. That's another pretty cool bit of news, I think, considering the fact that he knocked Joshua out, or basically TKO'd him at their last fight. And it looks like he's about a 3-1 underdog at this point from what I'm seeing online. It's interesting stuff, and I kind of feel the same way about Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua. I've indicated that to the viewers in the past, that I believe that Anthony Joshua had the fight almost in the bag, and he basically did the worst thing he could have done against Andy Ruiz, which is rush in and try to finish him. And in doing that, he got right into Andy Ruiz's wheelhouse and got stopped. Now, that's not to say I want Joshua to win or I want Andy Ruiz to win. If I'm being honest, I like Andy Ruiz. He's from here in SoCal, where I'm at right now. I met his trainer and interviewed him on this channel, a fantastic gentleman in Manny Robles, someone I really enjoyed interviewing, and I wish Andy Ruiz all the best, obviously, but I just think that Anthony Joshua has the tools to be the favorite in this fight. Andy Ruiz for sure can get the knockout and the win again. I think it's a 55, maybe 60-40 fight in favor of Joshua, just because of Joshua's length, his experience, his resume, and even though he lost the last fight, I do think had he stayed on the outside and boxed long, he would have won that fight. Marco Martinez, thank you so much, brother, for joining the chat. Before I address you, big man, I ask that everybody who's watching this stream, please click the subscribe button below, comment, share, like, also donate in the super chat if you can, or in the links below. It would be greatly appreciated. Also, if you buy anything from the links below, we're an Amazon affiliate, so if you buy anything from Amazon after clicking that link, or if you get your Fighters Rep gear in the description below, the majority of the proceeds are going to get funneled right back in to the promotion and making Fighters Rep the best striking promotion in the world. We got the best talent in the world down here in SoCal. So that's the way I feel about that, and I'm hoping you guys can help us build sort of a crowd-funded, fan-funded, fantastic promotion that we can take to the next level. So Marco Martinez is saying, have you ever seen Mayweather's performance at WrestleMania back in 2009? He took some big bumps, but I think he was retired at the time. Well, Mayweather is always retired. He comes in and out of the sport. I'm excited to see, in fact, if he's going to come back and fight Manny Pacquiao. That'll be an easy $150, $200 million for Money Mayweather, who I think is probably the greatest boxer that I've ever seen with my own eyes. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens between him and Pacquiao. And I wonder what he's going to look like when he comes back after taking another hiatus and now being in his 40s, especially against a Pacquiao who's active. Something I'm looking forward to. I do remember his performance in WrestleMania. I remember him fighting the Big Show. It was a lot of good fun, but you can definitely get really hurt in pro wrestling. And I can attest to that because I actually did some pro wrestling in my past. And I remember having to take breaks because even though I thought I was taking bumps properly, after a while, my elbows started to swell to the size of grapefruits. I'll never forget having to buy elbow pads because the bumps I was taking were just not proper to the point where my body wasn't being injured. And I felt like every time I would take a bump, I was slamming my elbows into the ring, and eventually they got really swollen. I had to take some time off. That's something I specifically and particularly remember about pro wrestling. And if you're asking, yes, I was a heel. I was a bad guy. So there you go on that one. Marco Martinez also said that was a low move by Mayweather. Mayweather has been accused of a lot that may or not be true. He should know better. Right, Marco Martinez, but you also got to remember, him and Oscar De La Hoya have thrown a lot of shit at each other. They've said a lot of shit at each other. And a lot of people have said a lot of shit about Floyd Mayweather, who, despite the fact that he may have some history, perhaps with domestic violence and, other things. I mean, he does give back to the community. He has done a ton for the sport. I've seen the charitable side of Floyd Mayweather, who's just playing the heel when he acts like a heel. And I think that a lot of people have judged Mayweather, especially Oscar De La Hoya, and he's probably just saying, well, look, you judged me for domestic violence, and you've got women accusing you of sexual battery. So it's kind of a touche moment for Floyd Mayweather. Is that the kind of thing that I would engage in? I don't believe so. But Floyd Mayweather, always the heel. Always the heel. And I'm laughing because of what Ryan just said in the chat. I'll get to that in a second. But Floyd Mayweather, always the heel, sticking to that angle. And you got to love it. You got to love it. Savage Fact, Suleiman, Jamaican Boxing, Raya, and thank you guys so much for joining the chat. If any of you haven't subscribed, I appreciate it if you guys hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys for joining us today. I was laughing about what Ryan said because he's saying, is he reporting WWE like it is real? The whole thing was all acting. How do you know it was all acting, Ryan? That could have been totally real, brother. You need to calm down, my man. We're not here to destroy the dreams or the innocence of people that may be watching this kind of thing. That could have totally been real. And unless you have evidence that it wasn't real, then to me it looked real. Savage Facts, Mayweather did a great show. Mayweather always does a good show. I love Floyd Mayweather. And again, I'm sticking to it. I think he's the best boxer that I've seen since I've been alive. You guys might think I'm crazy for saying that. I don't think you should think I'm crazy for saying that. But Floyd Mayweather is the man, in my opinion. And the only people I can kind of see surpassing him at some point is, I don't know, maybe a Lomachenko. But I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. Or maybe a Terrence Crawford. But even those two guys, man, they've got holes in their defense. They get hit. Floyd Mayweather never really got cracked the way some of these guys did. The only fight he potentially lost but still got the win was that Jose Luis Castillo fight, in my opinion. And I didn't think he lost the Maidana fight. I didn't think he lost any fights that a lot of people say he lost. The only close one was that Jose Luis Castillo fight. I don't even know if he lost that one. I'd like your opinions on that, but he's the man. Leave Floyd alone. He gets enough shtick from everybody. Hopefully we see him back in the ring soon against Manny Pacquiao. Jamaican Boxing, what's going on, brother? Thank you so much for joining the chat. He says, oh yeah, no. He's got a reason to duck the Bronze Bomber. Bomb Squad. Well, Jamaican Boxing, if you were ever punched in the face by a person as hard as Tyson Fury was punched in the face by Deontay Wilder, and they were offering you $15 million in another sport where you didn't have to get punched in the face, but instead get blindsided by a extremely disgruntled Braun Strowman, you'd take the getting blindsided by the disgruntled Braun Strowman. At least that's the way I see it. Marco Martinez is saying K-Fob, Raya, K-Fob. I don't know. I don't even know what you mean by that. I don't know. Maybe I'm behind on the lingo. I'm not as cool as some of the people in the chat. You might want to bring me up to speed on that one. Jamaican Boxing. Oscar De La Hoya out here trying to put his whole hand in a female vagina. Oh my goodness. Is that what he tried doing, Jamaican boxing? Because I don't know much about the details of what happened with De La Hoya and his alleged accuser. And I'd like to know if that's what he tried doing, or was he wearing some panties or some leggings or whatever he was in some of those pictures I've seen on Instagram and Google. And was he trying to do something ridiculous in those? Who knows? If you know more than I do, please fill me in on it. I just know that it's not a good look for De La Hoya. It's not a good look for Golden Boy. Golden Boy's kind of been shit on a lot recently. I don't know if you guys have noticed, between the whole Ryan Garcia kind of feud and ugliness, and then they had to kind of capitulate to Ryan Garcia and give him more money and put him on that Canelo undercard. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with Golden Boy, and I kind of hope that they get their shit together, because there's a lot of boxers relying on that promotion, and to see them go through this kind of trouble is a little bit worrisome, especially considering the fact that a lot of the guys from out here in Cali are related to Golden Boy in some form of fashion. So we don't want to see them go under or anything bad happen to them. So I hope what happened with De La Hoya is not true and this person is just looking for money or something. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know, if he did it, if he did the crime, then he's got to do the time. Suleiman, my brother, what's going on? He says, a Tyson Fury playing a dangerous game with his fake injury stunt. Remember, all it took was a cable wire for Tony Ferguson to get knee surgery. Oh my goodness, you're absolutely right about that. And then I don't know if you saw, but Tony Ferguson today was calling out John Jones, and John Jones basically replied in a tweet, which he subsequently deleted because it was extremely offensive. John Jones basically asked him, are you feeling suicidal? I guess for calling out John Jones. John Jones was like, this dude must be crazy. Are you feeling suicidal? Obviously referring to Tony Ferguson's history of mental health. And then he deleted that tweet and apologized about it. And this is John Jones I'm talking about. He deleted the "Are you feeling suicidal" tweet and apologized about it. I think that's crazy that you bring up Tony Ferguson, Suleiman, because that's a big bit of news that's in social media and on Google today. I was seeing it, that Tony Ferguson is calling out John Jones. I guess he's not liking his attitude. I just thought that was a really weird exchange. Definitely the UFC has got a lot of WWE going on in there. The spirit of the crazy call-outs and the drama is definitely leaking into the UFC from the WWE. Maybe that's what happens when you cross-promote athletes. Game Bred Fight TV, what's going on, Coach? Appreciate you joining the chat, my brother. Loma is too old at this point, George. Maybe Terrence Crawford. I agree. I was thinking that too. He is too old at this point. And, Terrence Crawford's great, but I just don't think either one of these guys have the defense, Coach. You know more than I do, Coach. I'm just looking at it from an objective perspective. I think these guys just don't have that superior defense that's just so impressive to me. And, man, Mayweather's just so sharp with his punching, with his counters. He's so efficient with his movement. He's incredible to watch. And so I don't think, if I'm being honest, that either Lomachenko or Terrence Crawford will match Mayweather, whether it's in fame or wealth or even ability. However, they're the closest, I think, that we have at this time. Marco Martinez, I think Maidana got to Floyd early, but he lost the last 7 or so rounds. Floyd is the master of adjustments. 100% agree with you on that one, Marco. I had Maidana up in the first half of the fight, and then Floyd just took over. I think from the 5th or 6th round on, he took over. But if it were to end in the first half of the fight, I definitely thought that Maidana was winning that fight up until that point. But he just couldn't keep that wicked pace on Mayweather. Mayweather's just a master, man. What are you going to do about it? Jamaican boxing. as saying it's okay for Fury to make his money over at WWE, but he should stop pretending like he wants that smoke. You know what, Jamaican boxing? I'm really not sure what's going on in the mind of Fury, man. And that's why in my last live stream, when I crowned who I think is the king of the heavyweight division, I went with Deontay Wilder, because Tyson Fury, even though he's got the skills to pay the bills, and I think if he's concentrated and dedicated, he can beat anybody, I just think he's too damn erratic, man. Between his unfortunate mental health, physical health, addictions, WWE career now, I don't know where this guy's head's at. He fights Deontay Wilder, then he fights a couple of bus drivers. I don't know what's going on with the guy, So I have to just go ahead and give the crown to my boy Deontay, the Bronze Bomber Wilder. Puts the bam in Alabama, as they say. And he's just a fantastic fighter. He talks the talk. He walks the walk. He knocks people out. But again, the boxing establishment is preventing these guys from fighting each other. The bullshit boxing culture where it's so important to be undefeated. It means so much to never lose in the boxing culture that these guys are never going to fucking fight each other. It's ridiculous. That's the exact opposite of what we do at Fighters Rep Promotions. What we're going to talk about on this channel is always how we can erode and chip away at this bullshit boxing culture that prevents people from fighting each other on our shows at Fighters Rep. And now we're the only professional, exclusively kickboxing show in California. So I appreciate you guys joining and supporting. We're actually looking for 4 or 5 dates next year, but our entire goal in creating this promotion, it's many, but one of them is to destroy this bullshit culture where people don't fight each other and want to preserve their record. If you fight for us, you're going to be in there for a fight, and they say be the change you want to be in the world, and that's the way it's going down with us. But this whole bullshit about these guys not fighting each other and preserving their records, it's driving me crazy. I do love Anthony Joshua's approach. People can say whatever the hell they want to say about Anthony Joshua, but the guy fights anybody. The guy fights just about anybody. He fought Klitschko. He's fighting Ruiz. He fought Takam. He fought Joseph Parker. He stepped up. He fought Dillian White. The only person he didn't fight was Deontay Wilder, and we don't know why. We don't know what happened there. It could have been Deontay Wilder's handlers, because I do think that Joshua would probably want to fight, but who knows? Maybe Eddie Hearn was not trying to get his cash cow knocked out by Deontay Wilder in a very risky fight. Nobody knows. Who knows? But the point is, this is a bullshit culture that we, on the Fighters Rep channel, as part of Knucklehead Nation, when you hit that subscribe button, baby, you are Knucklehead Nation for life. It's the Knucklehead Nation. We got to change this shit, man. It's crazy. And we're going to keep attacking and eroding at this boxing culture until somebody forces these people to fight each other. All right, you guys took me off on a tangent here. Marco Martinez, it will be very hard for anyone to catch Floyd for all the talk about him handpicking opponents. He beat Corrales when Chico was a beast. He also beat De La Hoya when De La Hoya was much bigger than him. Well, De La Hoya was out of his prime by then, but De La Hoya didn't want to fight him in his prime. A lot of guys didn't want to fight him in his prime, so he did sort of pick and choose at the right time because he was the A side. Again, this is more bullshit boxing culture. He did sort of pick and choose because he was the A side, who he wanted to fight, who he didn't want to fight, and at what time. But I think when you look at him skills-wise, man, he's incredible. And I haven't seen anything like him as far as defense, especially. I've never seen anything like him. Suleiman saying De La Hoya stole the woman's panties and bra and wore it. I think that's the entire case against De La Hoya. Suleiman, you are a mischievous young man, Suleiman. Jamaican boxing. JJ was probably high on crack when he sent that tweet. By the way, JJ is the best, LOL. He is the best. He is the best non-clean athlete in the UFC. I think we need to have like a clean athlete and a non-clean athlete division. JJ's the man as far as non-clean. I think as far as clean goes, I don't know. Who do you guys have there? I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. Maybe Stipe. I haven't heard anything too bad about Stipe doing any kind of drugs. Maybe Adesanya. I don't know. Whatever you guys think, I'd like to know. Marco Martinez also beat Mosley after Mosley beat Margarito. He would have beat Pacquiao at a younger age, but Pac-Man ducked the fight. Well, Mosley was already old when they fought. And Mosley landed a couple shots at the beginning of the fight and then couldn't get anything else done. Pacquiao, I think, in his prime would have given Mayweather his toughest fight, but they did not fight when both guys were in their prime, Marco. At least that's the way I feel about it. Jamaican boxing, I just can't see how Loma's pound for pound #1 in 14 fights. Jamaican boxing, you know better than that. The guy has 5,000 amateur fights. The guy was, placed under a petri dish when he was still a sperm and, fighting his homies at that age. The guy has so many amateur fights. He's done so many crazy things as a pro in his first or second. And what was it? In his second fight, he was already fighting for a title. Come on, you got to give the guy credit. He beat Rigondeaux. Let's not deny reality here, Jamaican boxing. Beat Rigondeaux soundly, made him quit. Beat your boy, Nicholas the Axeman Walters, our Jamaican homie. He beat him. He beat, who else? It's a ton of guys. Oh, Jorge Linares. Nobody wanted to fight Linares. He smashed this Crolla guy who was a decent fighter too. And I actually went to that fight and really enjoyed it. So, I think we need to give Lomachenko his credit, man. He's fighting all these big guys. He just fought Luke Campbell. The guy looked like he was in another weight class. Lomachenko's been running through people. His style is crazy, impressive to watch. His movement, I love it. So I think you got to give him a lot of credit. And I do see how somebody can think he's pound for pound. It's between him and Terrence Crawford. If you don't think it's between him and Terrence Crawford, then tell me who you guys think it is. I don't think anybody else can possibly be pound for pound other than Lomachenko and Terrence Crawford at this point. Hey guys, be sure to click the like button, the subscribe button below if you haven't already, and donate to the super chat. Man, I spoke to a new venue today about holding Fighters Rep 9. These people want a shit ton of money, so any way you guys can help us fund this next upcoming fight is greatly appreciated. Your generosity is appreciated, especially for these young fighters I got down here that we're developing. They're fantastic. As I let you guys know before, freaking Anderson Silva was at our last show. Anderson Silva. Let me say that again. Anderson, the GOAT, the Spider Silva was at our last show. And so for me, that means we're definitely headed in the right direction. His son fought for us, and that was just an absolute honor to have Anderson there. So this thing is definitely moving along. I appreciate you guys joining the channel. This channel is continuing to grow. We got some fantastic contributors on this channel. We don't have that many trolls. Have you guys noticed that? We don't have that many trolls. We got educated, boxing fans and combat sports fans in this channel. So I really appreciate you guys and your contributions on this channel. Marco Martinez. Floyd made Hall of Famers look ordinary. Totally true, man. Juan Manuel Marquez, Corrales, like you said, De La Hoya, schooled Canelo, Pacquiao, just everybody. He's got some of the greatest fighters to ever live on that resume. And he's a beast, man. You got to give Mayweather his props. Crawford is the true pound for pound #1. This is according to Suleiman. Loma versus Haney is what we all want to see. I want to see that too. I definitely want to see that. And I think, Haney could probably beat Loma, man. That's a good fight. But will the boxing establishment give the people what they want to see? Or will Dana White have to come out of Zuffa and start his own boxing promotion with Zuffa and force guys to start fighting each other? Or will people just tune into the Fighters Rep fights, which we're uploading every single day a new fight until we run out of fights from Fighters Rep 8. You can watch them for free. We're guys who are competitive and can beat each other, fight each other. That's what we need in this sport. That's what we need in combat. Honor the fighters. Give them all a fair shake. Give them a fight where they have a chance to win or lose. Don't put them in there with somebody that's going to blow them out. That's bullshit. That's not a fight. That's fucking worse than WWE, man. You're actually risking somebody's life when you do that kind of shit. With all the deaths we've had 4 deaths in boxing this year. We don't need any more A-side versus B-side bullshit. That's the way I feel about it. Game Bred Fight TV, definitely Wilder is winning the rematch. By far the most exciting heavyweight, George. Thank you so much for that, Coach. I agree, man. Wilder is the most exciting. I'd love to hear your take, Coach, on Wilder's boxing technique versus the other heavyweights, because I actually think he might have the worst technique, but he's got those intangibles in spades that make him the most dangerous heavyweight and that I think make him the most consistent and therefore the best at this time. But I'd like to hear your perspective, Coach Granillo. If you guys don't know, Game Bred Fight TV, he's a coach, a striking coach at CMMA, among other places. I think he goes around to other camps here in Southern California, the mecca of combat sports, and he's a striking coach, and he knows exactly what he's doing. And I've actually had the pleasure of taking some of his classes at CMMA, so I'd love to hear his angle on this. Suleiman, I don't care if Devin Haney is too young. If Loma's as good as we're told, he will teach Haney a lesson similar to what Floyd did to Canelo. I agree with that. Let's make it happen. Let's call for it. Start tweeting about it. Let's start tweeting about it. Let's get Knucklehead Nation to start tweeting about that fight. We want the fight. Haney versus Loma. Make it happen. Right here in Los Angeles. All of you guys can fly out to LA. You know, we can have some drinks at the Staples Center. We can go to In-N-Out Burger afterwards. Watch the fight. It'll be a lot of fun. It'll be like a Fighters Rep Knucklehead Nation field trip. Game Bred TV is saying boxing has too many sanctioning bodies. It's stupid. Absolutely. And speaking of which, today they raised Lomachenko, the WBC did, to franchise champ. And they named Devin Haney the full champ. You know, and these are just ways, all these belts and sanctioning bodies and BS, these are ways for these sanctioning bodies to make money. The more belts they have, the more fees they can charge, the more popular they are when they have a bunch of champions. It's a lot of bullshit, more of the boxing establishment and culture dicking us, but what can we do? That's the way it is. And Unless you talk about it, unless you put it out there, unless you try to, change it, it's not going to change. It's not going to change, and it's unfortunate. Marco Martinez, hey, George, I got to plug a fight you just uploaded, and that was Edgar Barbery's. He destroyed a bigger fighter with great technique. He's going for an MMA amateur title November 2nd. Good luck, big man. Hell yeah, good luck to Edgar Barbery. He's one of the heavyweights that fights for us at Fighters Rep. The guy is a fucking beast as far as his technique goes. He's a big heavyweight. Not that tall, but a big, thick heavyweight. He looked in better shape the last time out, too. He looks like he's lost some weight and put on some more muscle. Edgar Barbery, if you guys get a chance, definitely check out our fights. These kids are the future. Edgar Barbery trains out of the yard where Joe Schilling and a lot of the best strikers in the world train. And Edgar Barbery's a killer, and he basically took his opponent out who was bigger than him by going to the body, and it was a brutal body shot display. So definitely big shout out to Edgar Barbery. We love watching him fight. And Edgar Barbery is allergic to boring fights, guys. If you just go to our channel and you search Edgar Barbery, just go get your fucking popcorn, because the guy does not know how to be in a boring fight. The only couple fights he's had for us, and the first one was back when we were doing MMA, was just an absolute bloodbath. And this last fight, he just totally destroyed his opponent, who, his opponent did put up a good fight, I will say. But man, Edgar Barbery just smart, went to the body, changed levels. It was fantastic to watch. So definitely check him out. Game Bread Fight TV, he beat Gary Russell Jr. Yes, he did. The featherweight in the world right now, the best. Yeah, I mean, he schooled Gary Russell Jr. So you got to give him a lot of props. And Game Bread Fight TV is talking about Lomachenko. Marco Martinez, Marco Martinez, best clean fighter right now is Demetrius Johnson. Khabib is pretty up there too. Well, what about Henry Cejudo, who beat Demetrius Johnson? And Khabib definitely has to be up there too. And of course, Demetrius Johnson is up there too, no doubt, one of the greatest of all time. And you can actually check out one of his interviews on this channel. I remember Ivan interviewed him at the 1FC, I believe, when they did an event out here in Los Angeles. Ivan Calderon, one of our correspondents, along with Marco Martinez, who's in the chat, went and interviewed him, and I thought that was really cool. So definitely check it out if you get the chance. Marco Martinez, are Loma and Tank in the same division? I think Tank is down one. They should be fighting each other, these guys, but it's just not happening. I don't know why. I don't know why those guys aren't fighting each other. That's a fight that should have been made a long time ago. It looks like Tank's team doesn't really want that fight, but that's definitely a fight that should have happened a long time ago. Jamaican Boxing, message retracted. Where did you go, Jamaican Boxing? We want to see what that message was. James Doherty, thank you so much for joining the chat, brother. Best fight of the year coming up on Saturday night. UK, Taylor versus Pro Gray, Total War. Oh, shit, James Doherty. That is going to be to determine the man in the 140-pound division. Regis Pro Gray is a fantastic guy. I had a long interview with him at Churchill's Boxing Club. If you search our channel for interviews, you'll see my interview with Regis Pro Gray, and we actually discussed this upcoming Josh Taylor fight. It's for 2 titles. It's for the Muhammad Ali trophy, and it's to determine who the man is in the WBSS, which is the World Boxing Super Series, and the man in this world in the 140-pound division. We wish both fighters luck. We got love for Pro Gray. He's the American fighter, but Josh Taylor is no joke. He's a Scottish fighter. He's shown incredible toughness and skill. He's a little bit longer and taller than Pro Gray. I think this is going to be a fantastic fight, you guys. So definitely tune in. These are 2 of the best fighting the best, and it's a real treat. Again, it's boxing. 2 of the best fighting the best, which is such a rarity in boxing. I can't believe we're being spoiled with this fight in boxing after being spoiled with the Artur Beterbiev versus Gvozdyk fight. It's just 2 like gems out of nowhere, you know, where actual guys who can beat each other are fighting each other. So, you know, I'm really happy that this fight's going down. Definitely tune in and watch it if you guys haven't seen it. Suleiman, fight of the year is Derevyanchenko versus Triple G or Spence versus Porter so far for me. I can't disagree with you on that one. Those were 2 great fights. I really also liked that Gvozdyk fight against Beterbiev last week, but as far as a close fight, I do think that Derevyanchenko, Triple G, and Spence versus Porter were great. I thought the Derevyanchenko versus Triple G one was even closer. What do you guys think? Who do you guys think won those fights? I thought Spence won the fight, and I thought the Derevyanchenko versus Triple G fight was kind of too close for me to call, but I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about that fight. Suleiman, Kovalev versus Canelo could potentially be fight of the year too. Also, AJ Ruiz too. Boxing closings out the year strong. That's true. That is true, you know, and I think that when you've got Eddie Hearn at the helm, a lot of people give him a lot of shit, man, but Eddie Hearn, I think for the most part, tries to make pretty good fights. And I like Eddie Hearn, man. I like Eddie Hearn. I don't really notice him sort of padding his guys' records the way a lot of the other promoters do. Again, this is my opinion. You can shit on me all you want. I don't care. I got a thick skin over here, but I like Eddie Hearn. You know, I think he definitely goes out of his way to make these fights, close fights. I love his stable. He's got some real characters on that stable. and I definitely enjoyed. Marco Martinez, stop it, George. Cejudo barely beat DJ. Cejudo was dominating the first fight. I do want to see if Cejudo can keep up the winning streak. His cringe persona is a fresh take on the way to get over. What do you mean, stop it, George, Marco? He beat Demetrius Johnson after losing to him. He came back and beat him. Whether you like the decision or not, it was definitely a close decision. And I thought he pulled it off, so I was okay with the decision, right? He beats TJ Dillashaw, who's on steroids and a weight class higher than him. Then he beats Marlon Moraes. I mean, what more do you want the guy to do? What's the guy got to go fight John Jones? I mean, the guy's incredible. Come on. You stop it, Marco Martinez. Let's give Henry Cejudo the fucking credit he deserves. Triple C, brother. I like that it's not based on negativity like Colby, and Marco Martinez is talking about Cejudo's personality. So I would agree with that, man. I actually think it's hilarious when he does that face, where he's like, and he's like looking into the camera and breathing hard. That's one of my favorite things that happens in combat sports, is when Henry Cejudo does that ridiculous face. But yeah, I mean, let's take a look at the wins he's rattled off, right? So Wilson Hayes, who was pretty good. Sergio Pettis, pretty good. Then he beat Demetrius Johnson. Then he beat TJ Dillashaw. Then he beat Marlon Moraes. And this guy's, jumping up in weight class, fighting Reuters, doing everything he can. He beat a depleted Dillashaw at 125. But whatever, the guy cheated, you know what I mean? He cheated to get to 125. And he still beat him, and he beat him in emphatic fashion. I mean, it wasn't like it was a hard fight. He finished him right there in the first round. So I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one, Marco. I think Cejudo is better than DJ at this point, unless DJ can come back and beat him. In their last fight, he beat him, and he's shown, that he's an exceptional fighter in not only beating TJ Dillashaw, but then going up to the bantamweight division and beating Marlon Moraes, man, who's a fucking killer. Have you seen this guy? Moraes is a fucking killer, bro. I mean, that guy was just running through everybody until he got to DJ, and until he got to Cejudo, and Cejudo finished him. And let's talk about the people that Moraes had beaten, right? He beat John Dodson. Then he beat Aljamain Sterling in that one-round knockout that was vicious. Did the same thing to Jimmy Rivera. Then he beat Rafael Assunção in the first round by submission to redeem his only loss in the last, 8 years? And then lost only to Cejudo, man. So Cejudo is a fucking star. He is a special talent. Jamaican Boxing, Cejudo. He says, Cejudo is a bad little man. I thought he won the DJ fight. I agree with you on that one, Jamaican. I love DJ too. He's a great fighter, but I mean, the truth is the truth. Cejudo beat him. Suleiman, DAZN single-handedly saved boxing. Imagine if there was no DAZN. These other dinosaurs, Heyman, Arum, and Warren, would have no reason to step up their game. That's true. They'd just be, shitting on the fighters and doing this A-side, B-side shit that they typically do. Come on. I mean, let's take a look at Heyman, right? Heyman had Deontay Wilder go fucking 40-0 fighting nobodies, and almost the same with Gary Russell, fighting nobodies forever until they fought a person with a pulse. Bob Arum does the same thing. I mean, some of these guys that Bob Arum puts in with his fighters, I've never even heard of in my life. Frank Warren, the same thing. I mean, look at the guys that Tyson Fury has fought in his last 2 fights. Just ridiculous. Of course he wasn't going to say no to the Wilder fight. Maybe they actually thought they could beat Wilder, and it was a huge payday. So they said, why not? But, I mean, Tom Schwartz, then Otto Wallin. Now, mind you, Wallin earned my respect. But Tom Schwartz, come on, what are we talking about here? Gamebred Fight TV. Wilder is not the most flawed heavyweight when it comes to technique. He does throw unorthodox punches from weird angles, especially when he has his opponents hurt most of the time. And that's from Coach Jay Granillo. That's Gamebred Fight TV. If you need a session, or if you want to come train and get your striking up, holler at Gamebred Fight TV. Thank you for that, Coach. I appreciate your insight on that. I agree, but as far as Ruiz, Joshua, Fury, Usyk, Dillian White, and Wilder, where do you think he kind of falls among those guys? Marco Martinez, Henry saved the 125-pound division and then immediately left. The win over Moraes was awesome. It was awesome, man. That was so impressive. Suleiman Dillashaw fight was stopped early. The ref didn't even let the Epo recovery take effect. Shaking my head. The juicy snake would have won. Suleiman, you're an evil man, my brother. Suleiman with the win, absolutely. James Doherty. Derek Chisora is fighting Big David Price 2 on the Taylor Prograis card, at least for a few rounds. It will be a good heavyweight fight. James, that is one of the fights that I'm looking forward to the most before the year ends, is that David Price versus Derek Chisora fight, because I like both of those guys, and I almost feel bad for David Price because I feel like he never really lived up to his potential, but he's still got that shot. He's still got that shot, especially if he wins this fight too. He beat Dave Allen, who isn't a huge name, but he'd come off that win against Lucas Brown and was looking like he was surging. And I thought Allen was probably going to stop David Price. David Price had also rocked Alexander Povetkin in their fight before getting stopped. So, I mean, he's almost like always on the cusp, and then his freaking chin fails him. But this fight is going to be really exciting between him and Derek Chisora. And it's one of the ones that I'm looking forward to the most. Definitely on that card, it's my favorite fight along with the Prograis-Taylor fight. And definitely one of the best, I think, most exciting fights you guys can watch before the end of the year is on this Prograis versus Taylor card, where huge heavyweight David Price takes on Derek Chisora. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, that fight, because I'll let you guys know right now, that's a lot of fun because both guys have been knocked out, but they're both good heavyweights, and David Price gets knocked out a lot. He's very vulnerable. His chin is basically shot. But if he hits you, if he catches you with a clean shot, you're dead, because he's like 6'6", 6'7", and he's like huge. So, and he can really punch, so it's something exciting. It's something exciting to tune into. Jamaican Boxing saying both Wilder and AJ wants to fight each other, but it's Hearn and Finkel that aren't confident in their respective fighters. You're probably right about that, Jamaican Boxing. I appreciate that insight, and you're probably right about that. They probably figure they just want to keep milking their fighters. So, we'll see if they ever fight each other, man. That's still the fight to make. I think if AJ beats Ruiz, which I do think he's going to beat Ruiz, I think the interest in that Wilder versus AJ fight comes right back to the boiling point where it was. So I'm excited to see what happens between AJ and Ruiz. Suleiman, Chisora disrespected Prograis and Taylor heavily. I hope War Chisora loses, to be honest with you. Well, I agree that he was disrespectful at that press conference. That's kind of his style, though, as we all know. I don't know if he's selling the fight or what, but I definitely thought it was kind of disrespectful. And I definitely think Prograis and Taylor deserve to be the main event over him, even though he doesn't like it. Gamebred Fight TV said Wilder's probably second to last in that group, in my opinion. That's definitely interesting, and I would probably put him second to last or last in that group too as well, Coach. James Doherty, Derek Chisora brought his Bulldog into the ring in the warm-up show for the Crowds television earlier today. He never even warmed up or worked out. The guy's ridiculous, man. But hey, I mean, he's trying to sell the fight, and he'll probably sell a lot of tickets on that card because I'm not sure how popular Josh Taylor is. I'm sure he's got fans because the fans out there are more diehard than our fans here and really love their boxing. But he's fighting Prograis, who's not even a big name here. I'm sure they appreciate the sport more there, so a lot of people are going to probably buy tickets. But I think the addition of Chisora with his shenanigans is going to really, help sell the fight and sell the card a lot more. Knuckleheads, I really appreciate you guys joining the chat. I didn't expect it to get as busy, actually, as it did today. It looks like this thing is continuing to grow, and I really appreciate you guys being on here. We're going to do this again almost every night at 9 p.m. Soon we'll also have some MMA, an MMA show going on as well. I'll probably have Marco and Ivan run that one. But really appreciate you guys tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share. Check out the fights. Check out the interviews we've got going on. We're going to be trying to do some more interviews. I've actually got a really good interview coming up with a fighter that's potentially going to fight with us, a pro striker, Muay Thai and kickboxing fighter. He's also done MMA. His name is Chris Cully. They call him the Murder Show. And he's going to kind of be talking about the bullshit combat sports establishment with us because get this, guys. My understanding with what happened to Chris is apparently he won a fight by devastating elbow knockout in his last fight. And his opponent is getting a WBC title shot. You heard that right. So I definitely want to get Chris on here, the Murder Show. Excited to get him on here. I just got to figure out the Skype plugin with Streamlabs OBS and see when he's free. I'm thinking it's going to either be tomorrow or the day after. And I think you guys will be interested to see what he has to say. Potentially a future fighter with us. I'm actually definitely planning on having him on the next card. And I think you guys will enjoy it. So thank you guys for joining the chat. Be sure to tune in. Click that bell notification icon next to the subscribe button if you haven't. It'll let you know when I'm on. But again, 9 p.m. Pacific, almost every day. So definitely tune in. Appreciate you guys.